Okay, good morning, everybody. I would like to start thanking everybody for your presence, for participating today. It is a great pleasure to have all of you with us. We have joining this talk Mr. Gao and Mr. Zhang from HUST School of International Education, Professor Wang, our guest speaker. Thank you so much for your availability. Ms. Jean, our Chinese director. We also have the pleasure to have here with us today Professor Davidson, Professor Davidson Belém-Lopes, our Deputy Dean of International Office from UFMG. I would like also to acknowledge the presence of our CI students. We have many students from our Confúcio Institute here with us. We also have students from other Confúcio Institute from Brazil. We also have directors from different universities in Brazil joining us today. I can see them logging at the moment as well, so thank you for your presence. I would also like to acknowledge the professors from our School of Economics here at UFMG, Professor Gilberto Libânio, who also supported us with that. I also would like to thank Ricardo Bruno, our IT, also helping us here putting this moment together. It is a good honor to have members from the academic staff from Huazhong University of Science and Technology, which is our partner university. So we're very happy to have you all with us today. I will hand over to Professor Davidson, who is going to mediate the session today. I hope you all enjoy. Thank you so much, Davidson.
Professor Barbara, thank you very much for your kind remarks. I'm Davidson Belém-Lopes. I'm the Deputy Dean for International Affairs at UFMG. It's my honor to serve as a mediator to this very stimulating and promising conversation this morning, Brazil time, this evening, China time. So I want to thank you all for joining us. It's an honor to have among us very high-level representatives from Huazhong University of Science and Technology. I want to salute Mr. Gao, Ms. Zhang, Ms. Jin Chang, and Professor Banban Wang, she who will be giving a lecture on a very, very interesting and a peculiar topic, e-commerce in China. I would go as far as to affirm that if one wants to envision how the future looks like, he or she should be attending this conversation, this lecture. So it's my pleasure to welcome you all. I'll just give you some introductory information, some background information on our speaker today, Professor Banban Wang. She has got a PhD in economics from Wuhan University in China. She is an associate professor at Huazhong University of Science and Technology in the Department of Economics. And she has previously served as a visiting professor at very prestigious institutions like Duke University in the United States and the Australian National University in Australia. Her subjects are international trade, environmental economics, and e-commerce. So I'm really eager and anxious to have to listen to Professor Banban Wang's words. And with no further delay, I'd like to pass the floor to Professor Wang, and also invite each and everyone to send your comments and questions through our chat box on their YouTube channel. So Professor Wang, be my guest. Thank you very much for accepting this invitation. We are very happy to have you on our YouTube channel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Davidson, and also thank you very much for Professor Barbara, Professor Chen, and all the organizers, Professor Gao, Professor Zhang, for this warmly invitation. And I'm so happy today that I can share some insights on the e-commerce in China here online. And also, thank you very much for all the friends online in UFMG. And I will share my screen first. Okay, and today, and there will be 5 parts in this talk, and it will start from China's feature in e-commerce and representative firms and applications. Then I will cover some key concepts in network economics that helps you understanding doing business online. In the last 2 parts, I will introduce e-commerce in urban China and rural China respectively. Now let's start from the China's feature in e-commerce. The first feature is that China has the world's largest B2C market. B2C is short for business to consumer, refers to the retail transactions of products or services from businesses to individual shoppers. In 2015, China's B2C e-commerce trading volume had already ranked #1, followed by the United States, the UK, Japan, and France. Moreover, China has the largest share of B2C compared to B2B transaction. B2B is short for business to business, refers to transactions between and among organizations. Therefore, its trading volume is typically much larger than B2C transactions. According to a report from UNCTAD, in most countries in the world, B2B shares in total e-commerce are around like 80 to 90%. However, in China, B2B only counts for a half of its total e-commerce sales, leaving the other half the contribution of B2C, thanks to the huge population and internet users in China. The second feature is that China is experiencing increasing share of mobile commerce. Turkey and China are currently the leading markets in terms of shares of mobile purchases. In recent years, the share of online consumption via mobile devices in China has increased dramatically from less than 6% in 2012 to over 75% in 2019. E-commerce via mobile devices has already been the dominant way of online consumption in China. The trend could be ascribed to a large extent to the rising of Chinese brand smartphones. Nowadays, Chinese brands such as Huawei, Xiaomi, Oppo, Vivo, Meizu take a considerable share in the global smartphone market. Chinese brand smartphones not only target at high-end market, but also covers users with middle and low income. It makes the smartphone affordable to a great size of population in China, which brings not only urban citizens, but also rural household, elder citizens into the e-commerce market. The popularity of mobile commerce is the feature of the new generation e-commerce. Mobile commerce or m-commerce means that any business activities conducted over a wireless telecommunications network or from mobile devices. With GPS technology embedded in smartphones, the m-commerce is also location-based, which refers to the delivery of m-commerce transactions to individuals in a specific location at a specific time. In the second part, let us get to know some representative firms and applications. The top 10 apps downloaded in China in August 2020 are WeChat, QQ, Alipay, Taobao, iQIYI Video, etc. And covering various fields such as instant messages, payments, shopping, video searching, map services, and so on. Many of the popular apps are developed or connected with China's 3 tech giants, the BAT for short, which are Baidu, Alibaba Group, and Tencent Group. The 3 giants have their own focus. Baidu is good at searching engine, maps, encyclopedia. Alibaba developed its business around shopping such as Taobao, Tmall, 1688.com, and Alipay. Tencent started from messaging tools and entertainment such as QQ, WeChat, game, video, and music. And I will talk more about Alibaba Group and WeChat app as example. First, the Alibaba Group. Alibaba Group was founded in 1999 by 18 people led by Jack Ma, a former English teacher from Hangzhou, China. The founders started the company to champion small businesses in the belief that the internet would level the playing field by enabling small enterprise to leverage innovation and technology to grow and compete more effectively in domestic and global economies. Now it operates various business and also derives support for the digital economy. Alibaba's major business include online shopping platform serving domestic and global markets, such as Taobao, Tmall, AliExpress, Lazada, Alibaba.com, and 1688.com. A grocery retail chain called Fresh Hippo, and the food delivery service platform Ele.me, a leading online long-form video platform Youku, a digital collaborating platform for modern enterprises and organizations, DingTalk, the smart logistics network Cainiao Network, the financial services Ant Group and Alibaba, and the cloud services Alibaba Cloud. And I think this is a very famous Chinese IT and high-tech company group, and you can find more information, more introductions from their international websites. And second, WeChat is the most popular communication tool for Chinese. In fact, WeChat is much more powerful than instant message tool. It features as one app to rule them all. The service, which is known on the mainland as Weixin, began in 2011 as an innovation from Tencent, a Chinese online gaming and social media firm. By now, over 700 million people use it, and it is one of the world's most popular messaging apps. As it's growing, WeChat keeps integrating various functions in the single app. It is not only an instant message tool, but also an app with social media, online reading, payments, shopping, hailing taxis, dumpling deliveries, theater tickets, hospital appointments, and even online traveling services. Because it is so powerful, more than a third of all the time spent by users from mainland China on the mobile internet is spent on WeChat. A typical user returns to it 10 times a day or more. So as a user, I would say that this is true. This is totally true about a typical user. A research by the ECommerce magazine studies the timeline of WeChat and compares it with other mainstream messaging apps. WeChat launched the mobile messaging app as Weixin in China in early 2011. And in the summer of the next year, it allowed brand accounts on Weixin. In August 2013, WeChat add mobile payment function, started the Weixin wallet. And several months later, WeChat add taxi booking function and started red packets at Chinese New Year in early 2014. Later, it launches in-store cashless payment, ads fees, and many other functions in a single app. Although most WeChat users are Chinese, it still has a considerable user space compared with other global messaging apps such as WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger. But not like other chatting tools, which offering pure messaging function. WeChat offers various functions, including advertising, e-commerce, digital content, online to offline services, and finance. Only WhatsApp provides some kind of finance services. So why does WeChat become so powerful? One of the potential reasons, in my view, is that the design is based on the mobile application logic, ubiquitous and location-based. With mobile devices, mobile internet, and the support of GPS technology, the products and services could be used in anywhere and at any time. Recall that China has a very large population of smartphone users. WeChat integrates many services that are mobile-based and location-based, and its chatting function and social media attributes could also facilitate the promoting of such services. Another potential reason is that WeChat makes use of the network externality, which is a key concept in network economics. Here, I'd like to recommend a book wrote by two famous economists, Carl Shapiro and Harv Varian, The Information Rules. The book was written in 1999, very old, but although in an early age, the two authors grasped the key rules behind the information and the network economics. Its intelligence still has implication to today's e-commerce businesses. In this book, the authors highlight the importance of network externalities. When the value of a product to one user depends on how many other users there are. Economists say that this product exhibits network externalities or network effects. Communication technologies are a prime example. Technologies subject to strong network effects tend to exhibit long lead times followed by explosive growth. The pattern results from positive feedback. As the installed base of users grows, more and more users find adoption worthwhile. Eventually, the product achieves critical mass and takes over the market. Back to the WeChat case. As a messaging tool, WeChat has the feature of network externality naturally. As it integrated more useful function, the users would get more sticky to the app. The positive feedback could enhance the power of network externality in turn. For mainland Chinese users, WeChat might be the first app to be installed in the smartphone and the last app to be uninstalled. It leads to the next session in this lecture, some economics for understanding the e-commerce. It might be a little bit boring, this section, but this is very, very important concepts to understand the network effects and the business logic behind the e-commerce practices. The first and perhaps the most important concept is network externality that we have already introduced in the previous slides. To put it simple, it means that the more the users, the higher the value of the product. Sources of network externalities are mainly products that aid communications and shared infrastructures. For example, we can observe strong network externalities in messaging apps and social media. You use a chatting tool on your smartphone simply because that all your friends use the same one. You can also observe network externalities in many EC platforms. An EC platform always gathered sellers and buyers such as Amazon, eBay, Uber, and provide infrastructures helping transactions such as searching, payment, logistics, etc. And the more sellers and buyers activated on that platform, the more attractive the platform is. With network externalities, products with more users would like to be into a virtuous cycle, becoming more valuable and attracting increasing users. While products with less users would like to be into a vicious cycle. This is called positive feedback. Therefore, in many EC applications with network externalities, it is essential to trigger the positive feedback by attracting users at the initial stage and keep them in the later development. And if we make the things more complicated, if there are two or more incompatible standards or technologies that are in competition for the same demanders, in this situation, we say that it is competing standards. Where there are competing standards and also network externalities for each standard, it is the case we called standard-specific network externalities. The most typical case is the competition between the two operating systems, such as the Android versus iOS, and sometimes the competition between electronic commerce platforms with similar functions are also shown features of competing standards. In competing standards, there are often we can observe an effect called the lock-in effect. So when it is costly to switch from one competing standard to another, we say that there is lock-in. Imagine that when you switch from iOS to Android, and you have to buy new phone, learn the new system, and they are all the switching costs you have to pay. The presence of lock-in gives an advantage to a firm with large installed customer base, because its current users are not likely to switch products unless the advantages of the alternative product exceed the cost of switching. Therefore, in industries with competing standards and lock-in effects, the pressure from potential entrants is less severe. Then for the competitors, how to challenge the dominant firm and compete for the market share. Perhaps the main threat to an entrenched firm is technological innovation. If innovators can produce a new standard that is much better than that offered by the current dominant firm, say it like 10 times better products, they may be able to persuade users to switch despite the costs. A second threat arises when the challengers realize that a large installed customer base is a valuable asset, an asset worth paying for. In order to gain these assets, the challengers may be willing to bear large early losses in order to break into the market. Since the price is large, they are willing to spend a lot of money on research and advertising, and are willing to discount their product aggressively in order to attract customers away from the dominant firm. These economic concepts help us to understand the development of e-commerce and some e-business phenomena in China. First, China has a large population and smartphone users, so it has great potential in network externalities. In this sense, with solid IT infrastructure and economic growth, China is quite suitable for e-commerce. The key is the business should successfully grasp the network externality. And second, Chinese people are naturally keen on social networks. Many easy applications utilize social commerce to foster the positive feedback. Not only the WeChat bot, but also many electronic commerce platforms introduce social commerce functions, such as sharing contents and experiences, group purchasing, and successfully expand its user space and increase the user's loyalty. Third, there are fierce competition between EC products in these years. Supported by capital, the EC products provide heavy discounts or even subsidies to customers in the initial stage competition. Winners get the major market share. In some competition, local firms know better the user's preferences. The foreign competitors sometimes find it hard to win, even with open competition. For example, around year 2013, there was a round of competition between car sharing apps. Uber was in competition with local platforms such as Didi, Kuaidi, and several other companies. Didi and Kuaidi subsidized customers so heavily and marketed on WeChat virally. And in the end, Didi and Kuaidi nearly shared the whole market. And Didi finally merged with Kuaidi and Uber China and earned the largest market share now. Lastly, with the development of technologies such as mobile internet, 5G, and Internet of Things, there are innovation of new business models, such as new rounds of competition in many areas. Even within the traditional business domain, internet companies find opportunities to bring in e-commerce components. Internet companies are now introducing e-commerce into various fields such as offline retailing, the home appliances. The traditional companies in these specific fields are also forced to welcome the e-commerce and join the new rounds of competition. And then I will sketch the e-commerce in urban area in China. It is far more beyond online purchasing or online shopping. I will share several cases, several applications to you. One of the most popular EC form in the urban China is called O2O, the online to offline. O2O is a business strategy that draws potential customers from online channels to physical stores. It identifies customers in the online space, such as through apps and internet advertising, and then uses a variety of tools and approaches to entice the customer to consuming offline stores. One famous example is Dianping app, on which you can find and review restaurants, book movie tickets, find entertainment activities, and all kinds of other services. It is more than Yelp or TripAdvisor's functions. The physical stores will do marketing, manage customer relationship, send out coupons on the platform so as to attract more customers offline. It also features as location-based, rating, and social commerce. Users are able to find services in specific location, and it also integrates sharing contents of users to post pictures and videos of their shopping experiences. In urban China, there are various kinds of such applications, such as find teachers, find housekeepers, and you can find everything. You can find everything app on the App Store in China. Another example of O2O application is Meituan. Meituan started out as a group, as providing the group buying deal. In 2015, it merged with Dianping, the biggest restaurant review app, forming the biggest group buying company. And it keeps expanding the scope of services to anything related to O2O. And Meituan currently provides food delivery, ride-hailing, travel booking, moving reviews, and many other services. As such, Meituan is now competing with the BAT for domination in several O2O markets. For example, in the food delivery market, Meituan now is the biggest player, taking 67% of the market share. In urban China, a new retail business model also emerges. It brings e-commerce, big data, technology into the traditional retailing. Freshippo, owned by the Alibaba Group, if you remember, is a new data and technology-driven retail platform owned by Alibaba Group. It has offline chain supermarket. But more than that, it also has an app for online booking and delivery. Offline stores play as logistics centers, covering the nearest 3-kilometer users and delivering goods within 30 minutes. Moreover, as a new tech supermarket, it utilizes online and offline data to optimize its products and business process. Freshippo targets at new middle class in cities. They are busy with certain level of income and pursuing high quality consumption experiences. Nowadays, new retailing models are growing rapidly, competing with the traditional offline competitors. The development of ECR also relies on a very important infrastructure, the mobile payment. In China, the third-party mobile payment transaction keeps rising. In nearly all the online and offline stores in urban China, you can use your smartphone and the QR code to pay with your e-wallet in WeChat, Alipay, or other services. The convenience in payment facilitates the growth of new easy business model. The final example of this part, I would like to talk about some new form of online entertainment, like TikTok. The TikTok is an smartphone media app for creating and sharing short videos. The app was launched in 2017 for markets outside China. The Chinese version Douyin has previously been launched in September 2016. The application allows users to create short music video of 3 to 15 seconds and short looping video of 3 to 60 seconds. It is a leading short video platform in Asia, United States, and other parts of the world. In 2018, the application gained popularity and became the most downloaded app in the US in October 2018. And it is available in over 150 markets and in 75 languages. And in February 2019, TikTok, together with Douyin, hit 1 billion downloads globally. The short video platform, such as TikTok in China, even integrate shopping functions, allowing online celebrities advertising and marketing products. Links of shopping are given directly in the stream video. The new model plays an important role in the economic recovery after the COVID-19 epidemic in China. E-commerce has not only changed the business model in urban China, but also facilitate the development in rural economy. In the last part, I'd like to use Taobao Village as an example to show the e-commerce in rural area. This is a picture I copied from the Taobao website after searching for a very special kind of furniture, the bunk bed. You can see that most of the sellers, well, maybe the character is very small, but actually most of the producers or the sellers come from the same place, the Jiangsu province, Xuzhou city. This shows a phenomenon, the online industry clusters. When the traditional specialization in production meets the online channel, it forms the new online industrial clusters. Actually, in the past, there was traditional production specialization in Chinese villages. We call it one village, one product in the past. And in the new age, villages find that it is convenient to sell online and expand the market. Therefore, Taobao Village emerges. The Alibaba Research Group defined a Taobao Village as follows. It should be located in rural China. Its annual e-commerce trading volume should be greater than 10 million yuan, mostly using the Taobao platform. The village's activated numbers of shops should be greater than 100 or 10% of the number of its total households. The earliest Taobao village appears in 2009, including the Dongfeng village, Shaji town, Suining County in the Jiangsu province, Donggaozhuang, Qinghe County in the Hebei province, and Liuyan village in the Yiwu city, Zhejiang province. By 2019, the number of Taobao villages in China has reached 4,310. And the number of Taobao towns is 1,118. And from this heat map, and we can see that most of the Taobao village are distributed in eastern coastal area. From 2014 till now, it increases in numbers and sizes and also show a pattern to spread into the inner land. So today, these are my I think it's a very basic sharing of the e-commerce development in China. But there are only a small part of examples for China's new prosperous economy in the e-commerce area. So because it's so many, so I just pick some examples and to share the trends for you, the features for you. And thank you very much for your listening, and also welcome any questions and discussions.
Excellent. Thank you very much for this very informative, well-organized lecture. I'm really delighted. And as I enjoy the privileges of being the mediator, I will put forth the first question. My question is very straightforward, very direct. Mm-hmm. Professor Wang, what has changed with the advent of the COVID-19 pandemic with regard to e-commerce? Overall, what has changed in this scenario?
I think that for the development of EC, actually the epidemic is a kind of opportunity. Although I would say that it is not a good thing, but for the development of the EC, it is an opportunity. For the opportunity, I mean that because you know that the offline stores, the physical measures of doing business are actually blocked in several times and in many places. And many stores and many businesses find new opportunities online, and they will push them to develop the process of doing business online. Sometimes in the past, some small and medium business, they only use the EC as a supplement of their business channels. But for nowadays, some firms may, the epidemic force them to, to put more energies to let EC becomes the most important channels. So this is the opportunity for the development of some, the doing business online. And also there are opportunities for like new types of apps or technologies developed online. For example, we all know that like softwares of Zoom, or in China, we also have a rise of such applications. In the broader definition, so actually this kind of business products can also be divided in the broader definition of e-business. Like we make the economy growth more virtually. And third, and I would say something that may related to this question is that actually in China, the e-commerce have a great contribution for the to the economic growth after we have controlled the epidemic in China. So I have an example, but it is a pity that I cannot give some like videos in this platform. Like for example, our university is in Wuhan, and Wuhan suffered a lot during the winter and the spring. But after that, China find a model that they can find some celebrities, some pop stars, or even some very famous person on the TV, and they do the live stream on the TikTok or other short video apps. And what they do is just to give advertisements of the goods, of the products of Hubei, the products of Wuhan. And then many other consumers in China, they welcome this kind of advertising. And because in such kind of short video, they will just give the link of the goods, and you can do the shopping very easily. So this kind of business model are actually helped Hubei and helped Wuhan for the economic recovery in a very early stage after the suffering of the COVID-19. So there are some related answers or related examples to your questions.
Yeah, very interesting. And on the same note, if I understand well, the Chinese e-commerce has found ways to reconcile very traditional economic activities. And I'm referring, for instance, to Taobao and the way some offline activities have been transformed into online activities in a very ingenious way. But apart from this experience, which you have cited and about which you have given full detail, is there any future for an 100% offline commerce model? Did you see any future for offline commerce in China? What kind of future?
Well, I think in the textbook definition, how to define an e-commerce, there are three dimensions. If you do 3 dimensions digitally, you can call a business e-commerce. Like the product be digital, and the process and the delivery process will be digital, and then the payment be digital. So so from this 3 dimension, so in China, there actually you can find that a majority of the business are some kind of digital, some kind of e-commerce, because as I have presented, nowadays even the like a food truck, they can have a QR code and the customer can pay by their mobile phone. So I think this like a very broad definition, and most of the business have a feature of the digital or the e-commerce. And in my observation is that I think for like very small businesses in some like I would say not the large cities, like very small shops, and they may have room like play as a pure physical businesses. But for other like large businesses, I would say that it will welcome the easy age. And also in the future, I think now we can also observe a trend that as you say, there are a trend of integration of the new technology to very traditional businesses. And I think this should be thanks to the 5th generation of the internet, and also a development of Internet of Things, which means that you can connect all the kinds of devices or all the kinds of goods to the internet or some kind of networks. So when you have your like smart home appliances, and you actually connected all these kind of air conditions, the televisions, all these kind of things into a network, and you can develop new business models. So in China nowadays, even the Xiaomi company, it is a company that produced the smartphones. It is an IT company, but it also produced like air conditions, doing this home appliances, and it is a very strong competitors to the traditional companies that produce these home appliances. So we can see many areas that IT challenge at IT companies using these new technologies and integrate the networks, the computing capabilities into different kinds of goods and making them like connected into the internet and develop new business models. So I would say that very positively that many kinds of the businesses would have the feature of some kind of electronic commerce. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, this is my assumption as well. Everyone is going digital, everyone is going online, and China has an edge over this segment of industry. Let me share with you a question raised by Professor Gilberto Libânio, whom I thank very much for raising this issue and also for joining us this morning. Professor Libânio, he asks, firstly, he thanks you for giving such an interesting presentation. And then he asks, he says, I want to hear your comments about the importance of e-commerce for the growth of trade and services between China and other countries. So how does e-commerce lead, if it does lead, to the growth of trade and services between China and other partners around the world?
Well, very, very interesting questions. The growth of trade in services. So I think, well, in my view, I think the EC might have a, which is more profound. I think it may be the trade in, information and the data. So actually, to my knowledge, that now actually many countries, including China, positively, very actively involved in the negotiation, in the formation of such rules, in defining the trading in the information goods and the related services. And I think, for my understanding, the electronic commerce role are more profound in such areas, because in the trade in the past, actually the transactions related to the information are kind of very hard to be statistics into any of the trade categories. For example, if you buying some like services from the US, like if I buy some services like from the academic software services, and this kind of transaction or this kind of payment and linking with the transaction of the information goods, because it's purely it's not physical, it's purely like digital goods of transaction, are actually very hard to be categorized into any classifications. So I think the rise of e-commerce, if we use a broader definition, and there should be a rule that picture these kind of transactions, and this is our still in the formation stage. Okay.
Okay. So Professor Wang, there have been lately some tensions involving China and the US, especially with regard to TikTok, WeChat, and some other devices which have become very popular in the US. They're Chinese in origin, but they are everywhere now, especially TikTok. And I can tell you in all earnestness, in all honesty, I mean, I have a daughter and she's a user of TikTok. She loves it, and she's just 5 years of age. So it's really powerful. It's a powerful instrument. And I even feel that this TikTok device is kind of a milestone for China's soft power, because unlike South Korea or Japan, China wasn't very successful in spreading some habits and delivering palatable apps for the youth. But now TikTok is a hit. And the US is trying to make it difficult for TikTok to like conquer minds and hearts around the world. So how do you see all this polemic issue, and what's going to happen next, in your opinion?
Oh, well, very good question. But I think if for a big picture, it is a little bit hard to predict because of like the US-China relationship thing. But I think for the small issue, there may be some like why TikTok becoming so popular. I think it is when you're using the smartphone, actually you can only like concentrate for a very short time, and this kind of business model is to utilize these features of people's concentration. And even if its content have some like problems or when the young people cannot like control themselves, so actually these kind of app are like adjusting themselves. So actually I am also the user of TikTok, and I find that it is very easy to be addicted to it. But I know that the TikTok they have a different version in China called Douyin, and the company are also very actively in, to purify some, very some informations that are totally meaningless. So this is, I think, the first step. And I am very glad to see that this kind of products get popular globally. But for my perspective, it's not like from the culture perspective. Is that I think this is a stage that China may export some business models. One product is TikTok, but actually another kind of business model are like bicycle sharing in some cities. I don't know whether there are like bicycle sharing in Brazil, but I see some companies to learn this business model in the US. They have Chinese car sharing companies, and they also have their own bicycle sharing companies. And I'm happy because that this is a kind of export of business models. And in my view, actually the innovation of business models is a comprehensive ability. It is different from the innovation, technological innovation. So it is the business should have the ability to integrate different possibilities of business process, and also to be very sensitive to the development of the new technology, and to grasp the demand of the consumers, and to find a new way of doing business. And in the past, I think China is more like to copy the good business model from like US, from Europe. But nowadays, in the development of e-commerce, and I will specifically say that the mobile commerce, we can see that there are a lot of Chinese companies and even some startups emergence, and to create new kinds of business models. And even if we have successful business model, we can do some kind of like business model exporting. And I think this is a very good thing for me. And for the culture side, I would say that it is not my specialization, and I cannot say too much about it.
Okay. So let's talk the environment, which is one of your subjects. I'm really interested in learning from you what might be the consequences of an eventual victory of Joe Biden for the next US administration, the next federal administration at the White House. Since China is more and more these days a green power, China is struggling with the environmental issues. And as far as I'm concerned, China is grappling with it in a beautiful way, succeeding, at least in comparison with other countries around the world. So how can China benefit from the victory of Biden, provided that Biden has as one of his main platforms the so-called Green New Deal? I mean, to turn the US economy into an environmentally correct, friendly economy. So what are your expectations?
Could you please just repeat a little bit before the last sentence, because I kind of missing the information.
Basically, Biden and Harris, the Democratic Party candidates, they have the Green New Deal, the so-called Green New Deal, as one of their main electoral platforms. It's the most important component, I would say, of their electoral platforms. So how could China benefit from a greener United States in the future, with a greener US economy in the future, since China is investing in green economy as well?
Yes, very, very good question. So China has just announced its new target in the climate policy, and it will achieve like a kind of zero carbon before by the 2060. And I think it is a very challenging goal, even for China, to make this commitment. But if you see the development of the world climate policy, and you will see that it is I would say that it is an unavoidable path to like make the economy greener. And actually in the EU, although you don't mention the EU, but actually in the EU, and it also have some kind of version of the Green Deal in its policy proposal, and very strong commitment and policy support. And for achieving such goals, it will make great challenging for the world's energy structure, energy consumption patterns, and energy technologies. Because nowadays we still rely very heavily on the fuel energy. For China, it's coal, but for like other countries, it may be the oil or even the natural gas is not as clean as the other like renewables. And for achieving the climate goals, and actually globally, we have to make a very, very huge transition in the energy structure and in energy technologies. So nowadays, actually, many scientists and many scholars in all kinds of fields, they do simulations to see that what are the like costs of renewable energy, what are the potential for the renewable energies, and for us to make the world to transform to a green path. And I think that for the US, the hesitate of the US to step into this path, maybe it is just it will not continue for a long time. And actually, to my knowledge, the scholars in the US, they also expect that they can restart such plans in the climate policy, in the renewable energy support programs. And even we do not know whether that Trump would continue, but even with Trump's government, they are also trying very hard to restart such climate plans, such climate change policies. And I think if the world, we say that now we want to transit the world to a green path, and we want to recover our economy in the green path. And if it is a mainstream that we utilize the green technology, the low carbon technology, and eventually if we achieving lower cost by investment after the early investment to this renewable energies, and well, I think more users or more partners in this club would benefit all the others. So I would not say that China would benefit of this, but I think that the world is now into this path. Okay.
Great
Thank
answer. I'll just leave you with one final question, if I may. China-Brazil connections, relations, especially in the field of e-commerce. Nowadays, what I see, and this has been a consistent pattern over the years, is Brazil selling like commodities, soybeans, minerals, iron ore, meat, while the country, Brazil, buys manufacturers from China. Is there any way out of this trend, or Brazil and China both are condemned? Their fate will be to have transactions in this way. I mean, Brazil will keep selling primary goods while buying from China industrialized, semi-industrialized goods. Is there any other path we could follow in the future, taking into account the importance of e-commerce for the future?
Well, very good questions. And I think very interesting. The trade patterns, if you follow the Pew theory, actually result from like the comparative advantage is linked with like the factor endowments, or sometimes of the preferences between the two countries' consumers, and some other kinds of these factors. And I think the traditional trade patterns may adjust, because that for each country, and with the economic growth, and they may have some adjustment of their comparative advantage if you follow the textbooks. And so even for China, originally it has export many like light manufacturers, but nowadays it has changed a little bit. And if with the e-commerce, and I would say that connected to the previous question, is that maybe there is potential for two kinds of trade linkage. The first one is probably a little trade in the digital goods. The digital goods can cover like all kinds of maybe culture goods, maybe some like information or intelligence goods. It could be take in the form of like this online class, if there are like online class that charges people, and this is kind of digital goods, and also some kind of culture goods in a digital way. So I think this is a kind of like new trade opportunities. And the other kind, and as I said, it may not limit to the trade, and it may also have like international cooperations in the business, from trade or from like foreign investment, for companies to find new ways of doing business. I think like the experience in China, because I'm more familiar with China, some experience of the EC development in China may also have the business opportunities in the Brazil. So I think maybe in the future, more multinational companies in these areas among the two countries can find new opportunities in doing business together, and in a supplement of the traditional like trade relationship between these two countries.
Yes, let's hope for the best. I want to thank you very much, Professor Banban Wang, not just for giving such a brilliant presentation, but also for never avoiding the hard questions, and for delivering so clear, enlightening answers. It was a great time I have spent in the company of you, in the company of my colleagues from China. It was really great. I just want to tell you all, on behalf of our president, Professor Sandra Goulart Almeida, how much we treasure this cooperation with HUST. It's our main partner in China, and will be for a long time, I hope. We are really proud of this connection we have established in Wuhan. So thank you very much again. And this is just the first of a series of events, I believe, right, Professor Barbara? So I hope to meet you again, and we hope to keep up this fruitful cooperation in the future. Thank you very much. Now I hand over to Professor Orfano so she can conclude this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Davison. It also gives me the opportunity to thank the institution, UFMG, and also our international office, and for giving us all the support that we need since the beginning of everything. And Professor Wang as well, thank you so much for the insights that you have brought for all of us this morning. Our students also thank you very much. We have been checking here the messages. Some of them were worried because they couldn't follow since the beginning. So just to make sure for all of you that the lecture is going to be available at Derry's channel as well. So if you want to return to the lecture, you will be able to watch it. And I would also, again, thank you for your availability, for being with us today. Also, in HUST's international office, represented here by Mr. Gao and Ms. Zhang, for organizing these and making this possible as well. Thank you for your support from all the way around. Ms. Jean also for helping me organizing this and putting this together. Also, there is IT group, Ricardo, for helping us technically with this, and everybody from the CI. I would like to thank you for all the effort and for putting this together. We appreciate that. And there is another one. There will be others for sure. This is just the first one. It is a good illustration of the partnership and how consolidated our link is with HUST. We have another one on the 20, let me check here on my notes, the 29th of October, the same time. We will give you all the information as well. We will be with Professor Banban Wang, director from the School of Economics from HUST, and the theme is going to be China's Belt and Road Initiative. So it's a very nice, interesting topic that will be, as I am sure, given by the director of HUST's School of Economics. So we are looking forward for that as well. Thank you so much. If Ms. Jean would like to say something as well.
Thank you. That's all now.
So thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wang.
Thank you very
Bye-bye.
much.
See